Everybody, hello. Welcome to masculine and feminine energy, sort of side lecture. This has been coming up a lot in just community discussions, client discussions, life. And I think this is kind of a fundamental, everybody should know this. And so this actually is an old study of mine. This is a age-old concept, okay? This is back from when I was making the business an academy. And obviously now, as you know, it's really a ministry. But when I was looking to help people really just come into authenticity, which I'm still helping them do, it was mind, body, soul, and the doctor channel was a lot of that. And I still think everybody needs to come in authenticity. You can't not be authentic. You can't not be yourself. But it's something that will help you to come home to yourself a bit more is understanding masculine and feminine energy. And so this is a foundational study. And as you probably know, I am Dr. Michelina. I am an authentic leadership coach. I have done a dissertation on authentic leadership. I like authenticity. So let's start talking about what this looks like in reality, okay? Because despite what it says, masculine and feminine, it is not necessarily about gender, which let me just get right on into it. This is the overview of masculine and feminine energy, okay? It is energy that exists in the energetic realm. Now, everything is energy. So I don't want you to get hurt by this. I don't want you to get upset by this. All right? Everything is energy. The light is energy. Sound is energy. Okay? Everything has an energetic frequency to it. That isn't woo-woo. That is legitimate. Like everything is vibrating. If you look at science, it will tell you this. This is quantum mechanics. This is quantum physics. Everything is vibrating. And so everybody has masculine and feminine energy to them. Everything in nature has masculine and feminine energy to it. Okay. So it's part of the essence of who you are. And a lot of the times you lead more with one or the other. So even knowing maybe nothing about this, you probably can tell that I lead with my masculine energy. I am a very masculine entity, right? It's obviously that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a female. It's just I have a let's go get it, let's get it done, very type A, very active, very doer type mentality. And so I've had to cultivate the feminine. I've done all of this work now, and I help other people do this work, so it's not new to me. But the process of coming home to yourself is that you have to learn about these and balance them. So masculine and feminine energy is all around us. It is in us. And if you are unaware of that, it's not going to help you in the long run. Okay. So this is not new, as I said. This is age old. The Chinese ancient philosophies talk about this in the symbol of the yin and the yang. If you know anything about the yin and the yang, and I'm realizing here I've lost a good opportunity to put the actual symbol on the slide. I should have. But it is a circle that has a sort of wavy S in the middle. And on one half it's black and on one half it's white. But in the white half, there's a black dot. And in the black half, there's a white dot. And that is the balance that we're supposed to have. The yin energy is feminine energy. The yang energy is masculine energy. But together they balance each other out. And there's some in both. There's some of one in the other. And together they make a really holistic kind of a concept. So this is not new, okay? This is very old. If you know anything about the elements, air that we breathe and fire are typically masculine energies. They're very forceful. Water and earth are very feminine energies. They're very nurturing. They're softer. Now, that's a whole different archetypal study for a whole different day, so we're not going to get into the elements right now, but ultimately, masculine and feminine exists all over the place. The bee that pollinates the flower The bee is the masculine energy. The flower is the feminine energy. Why? Because the bee is the doer, the pollinator, the verb. And the flower is the beer. It is. It sits. It's still. It's passive. And so it receives well. And we have to be able to do both. So masculine energy, when we look at it broken down, is a lot of things. This is all masculine, right? It's very, I don't want to say in your face, but you can tell. It speaks loudly. Direction, going somewhere. The logical mind, the reasoning, analytical mind, that's masculine energy. Doesn't mean that you can't have it as a female. As anyone who knows me knows, I have a very analytical reasoning mind. I'm constantly analyzing. There's a reason I call myself a self and story analyst. It's because I'm an identity analyst. I'm constantly analyzing your identity. Don't talk to me because I will analyze you, right? So it is masculine. Leadership. I love leadership. It's a masculine thing to lead. That's how it's supposed to be. And so it's not a bad thing. It's a feminine energy to support. That's a good thing. It doesn't mean that women are subservient, submissive to the men who are dominating. Like that's a wounded energy space. What it means is that you want to have both capabilities, right? You want to exercise your mind, your logical mind, and also you want to know your deep feeling heart, right? So these are masculine. I'm not going to read them all off to you. You can check it out. But when we look at the masculine energy, a, a lot of the times we see it is sort of systems focused, right? It's how can I make this work very efficiently? Like how can I use my intellect to solve this problem? Like what can I do to get it done? We like success, check it off the box. Like that's what the masculine energy is. Feminine energy, which is the softer of the energies, has to do with more of a flow state, more like ease. It's softer. Like I don't know if you noticed, but I made this squares for a reason. It's structured. It's like containers. And I made this a circle for a reason. It's soft. Doesn't have edges. It's not hard. Right? There's fluidity to it. There's empathy, compassion. It's nurturing. The ground is like this. This is why things grow in it. Water is like this. If it's not in its ice form or its gaseous form, it's gonna soften a thing, right? We are not great, especially in the West here, especially in the United States. We're so bad at the feminine energy. We don't take time to rest. We are very unreceptive. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me not. Feminine energy is the softer of the energies, no less important. In fact, in some ways, sort of more important, kind of. It's a little bit like masculine is IQ and feminine is EQ, right? Like masculine is intellect and feminine is emotional understanding, but not fully because every person has to know their IQ, their EQ, and their SQ, which is their social quotient, right? And so, yes and no to that. But ultimately, the ability to be just open and vulnerable, devoted, supporting, intuitive, that's a very feminine energy space. Now, it doesn't mean only females have this. There are some females who, like myself, gravitate more toward the masculine. I have nurtured this. I can do these things now. But there are many females who are just naturally in their feminine. And they are in need of a sort of masculine who can hold that, right? There are, though, very many men who are these things. Men can be soft, men can be nurturing, men can be empathetic, men can enjoy pleasure and rest. I will say, like, my ex led like this. He was very flowy, he was good at adapting, he was very intuitive. He enjoyed pleasure, and not just like sexual, though certainly that is the reason why he's my ex. But no, more than that, like food, like good travel, like just things that are very enjoyable. Um, and so really, this is not a gendered discussion. This is a essence, an energy discussion. And everybody has this in them, and you have got to get good at doing both. Doing and being, action and rest, knowing and feeling, and like leading and supporting. You're not going to lead everywhere. Everybody gets very shocked when I tell them like I don't lead everywhere I go. Right? Like I lead really well on my in my business, my social media channels, and my community, like in my coaching space, as a teaching space, yes, of course. But when I'm out in the world, like when I go to my church, I'm not the pastor. Like I'm in the congregation, sitting in the back. Like everybody has a hard time understanding because they only see me in a very masculine space. But like, yes, of course I can do this too. Like, of course. And you also need to be able to do this. Okay. So there is a healed and an unhealed version of this. The healed version is what you want to aspire to. The wounded version is probably what you are living in right now. Okay. Now, the wounded masculine takes the masculine energy and it's out of balance. So it's stuck in its head. People, not just men, women too, people who are stuck in their mind, analysis paralysis, disconnected from their emotions, in maybe avoidance stages, they're, of course, they're both wounded masculine and feminine are insecure places to come from. The entire world really is kind of in these spaces, wounded masculine or wounded feminine, until you're not anymore. And you see it, right? I need to be right. Very selfish, very aggressive, afraid to fail, afraid to try. Kind of cold and distant in that they are avoidant. They don't get to the deeper issues, right? Critical and judgmental is a big one. We got a lot of wounded masculine. And again, it's not just men, it's women too, right? And so these are all insecure things. If you're looking at this and you're like, oh, shoot, this comes out in your relationships, by the way, it comes out in how you handle your life. So, like, take an inventory. How do you feel when you get into an argument with someone? Well, it's got to be my way. Okay, you're in the wounded masculine. You want to know how I get into an argument with someone? I don't. People all the time on my TikTok are like, "How are you not arguing? What am I going to argue about?" I They can think whatever they want to. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me what they think on that, right? It's because I don't need to be right. I'm not even entering into the debate. Now, a decade ago, I had all of this. Okay? A decade ago, I had all of this. 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, I had all of this. Okay? I was always in my mind. I was super disconnected from my emotional space. When I was in therapy in 2018, I told my therapist, she was like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm fine." I was always fine. I had an armor of invincibility on. I was always fine. And she was like, "I read about you in the news." Like, "No, you're not fine." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I am." And it was because I didn't have the language which she gave me a paper and I was like, oh, no, I'm not fine at all. I'm this is it, right? But not in touch with your emotions. That's not to say you're overly emotional. It's that you're emotionally aware and attuned. Like, hey, I'm pissed off right now. You're not reacting and you're not repressing. So I know how this is. I mean, I know, I get it. I've done it all. I was super attached to success. I really thought like getting my PhD was going to be like the pinnacle of success. It wasn't. Newsflash. Actually, it was like the foundational building block of a whole new life. I got my PhD as the ground level of a whole new thing that the Lord wanted me to do. And I used to always have to have the last word. I was very selfish. It was always my way or no way. Right. And so as a result, I was very critical of especially of my close partners. Like, why aren't you doing this better? Why aren't you doing this like me? Like I was the standard. Guess what? You're not the standard, quite frankly. Okay. We're like the blind leading the blind down here. So wounded masculine looks like this. Probably if you have a father wound, wounded masculine, right? If you think about maybe your dad, your relationship with him, was he cold and distant? Mine was. Was he aggressive? Mine was. Did he need to be right all the time? Mine does, still does. Is he selfish? Yes. Left our family when I was 3. Got remarried, right? Defending self and attacking always. Like so I know why I had a wounded masculine because I saw it. It's an example. Right? So you think about your relationships. Wounded feminine is also very prevalent in this day and age. It's always seeking approval. It's like person out of control. Love me, pay attention to me, take care of me. I can't do it without you. Right? The balance of that is like, I'm okay by myself, but I'd really like to be with you, right? That's not what the wounded feminine does. The wounded feminine is oversharing. She'll trauma dump on you, right? Everything that she thinks, she feels, sacrificial, very desperate energy. I mean, you can look around and see this everywhere now. Excessively attached. It's like one date in, already having sex with somebody. I saw this really great thing the other day that it was like, if you want to know if he likes you, close your legs. And I was like, facts, facts, facts. Like, make people wait for things. You can't do that if you're in this. You don't know how to. You need instant external validation. You need to be taking care, like it's a very desperate, clingy energy, the wounded feminine. Um, and and sometimes it like manifests physically, right? Like the men and the women who are taking gym selfies of themselves, you know, the influencers who are trying to get um everybody to comment on their stuff based on their looks. Um, it's an epidemic, quite frankly, but this is the wounded feminine, and it is. You've noticed this probably before, where like you've heard the term like women are catty, right? Manipulative. Men are very overt. If a man wants to get upset with a man, this is again masculine energy here. They will fight and they will like make up. When a woman is upset, they're very manipulative, very sneaky, especially if they're a woman in the woman energy. For myself, as a woman who's like really in the masculine energy, I don't. I never have. It's not for me. Like I'm like, nah, I'm not the one. I'm not gonna manipulate you. I'm not gonna even in my more wounded places. Um, that's not to say that this didn't show up in certain ways. I definitely did sacrifice myself, and I definitely was desperate for love in a lot of places, but not in my energy, in my attachments. That's a different, if you haven't seen that, go to the attachment theory. That's also on this channel. That was coming out of an attachment issue, not an essence issue. And there is a difference, which we won't go into today. So, what does the healthy masculine look like? Ooh, we love a healthy masculine, right? Um, Supportive and encouraging is part of the healthy masculine because you want to think about the masculine energy as a container, right? The masculine energy is like a container. The feminine energy is like water in that container. The masculine holds the space for the feminine energy to be what it needs to be. So when we see the healthy masculine, it's being present without being distracted. And again, this is not just men doing this. Like I do all of these things, right? I do all these things. I am grounded and of service. Anybody who's ever talked to me knows I am grounded, I am rooted, I'm here to serve. What do you need? I'm supportive and encouraging, right? And it's not a show. I'm not putting it on. I genuinely want to help. I genuinely want you to be able to do the things you want to do. As you well know, well, if you have been here for any length of time, you know, honesty, not a struggle of mine. Logical, accountable, not a struggle of mine, right? And so this, when we're showing up in these ways, we are in our healthy masculine energy, regardless of our gender, right? The some of the most important, I think, ways that we can show up is like non-judgmental and present and committed. And I will say that you have to get this from the inside out. When you are a hypercritical person, you can't offer non-judgment to someone else. Like when I was hypercritical, I was criticizing everything. Nothing was ever good enough. And I thought, I don't buy the lie, fam, okay? I thought, oh, well, just because I'm not giving this to myself doesn't mean I'm not giving it to everybody else. Because you're not. I call my clients out for this all the time. Usually, like in session, something will happen. And I'm like, okay, there's the criticism coming up. And it's like how they spoke to their husband or how they spoke to their child or something. And I'm like, right. So you're not just doing it to yourself. So don't lie to yourselves, fam, okay? If you are functioning out of a wounded masculine or a wounded feminine, you are showing up like that for many people in your life and you don't even realize it. I promise you are. So the healthy masculine is safe. And it's because it's all of these things. It's very safe. It's very emotionally safe, physically safe. It is very grounded, secure, steady energy, right? That's when you're in the healthy masculine. When you're in the healthy feminine, you are really good at creating boundaries. You are able to speak your mind. You are able to create and flow, right? Women are the creative energy as far as gender is concerned, right? We have the womb. We do the creation, you know? Man just has a seed. We have a seed and the ground, right? And that doesn't make anyone better or worse than anybody else. It's just the fact of the matter. The womb space is a creative space. The male sexual organs are like a factory. They're just pumping out sperm all the time. The testes are pumping out sperm, making sperm cells, and the penis is usually pumping out sperm also, right? Like it's a factory. That's not what a womb is. A womb is a home. It's a safe space. It's a creative space. It's really a portal between two dimensions, quite frankly. It's a different discussion for a different day. And so, when you're in your healthy feminine, which you also, you as a man or a woman can get in this space, right? Like I'm now very receptive in my body, very confident in it. I'm very vulnerable when it's appropriate, right? And that's the boundaries. I know when to speak and when to be silent. I know when to ask for what I need and when to just provide it to myself, right? And the loving and supportiveness that is the healthy feminine starts with giving it to yourself. Like I love and support myself now. And so it's very easy for me to love and support other people. It's not hard, right? And so, like, the goal here is awareness that one, this is even a thing, two, that it's playing out in your life, three, that you have work to do on it. And I will tell you what, I was really like, I knew I was really my healthy feminine when I realized that I'm very good at creating community. Like I'm very good at creating community spaces. I was very good at it. I've always been very good at it. But I was very good at it when I was in my high school. We had a lot of community in the sports I played. When I was in college, the Inner Greek Council. When I was in my classroom, we were like a little family. I just now, of course, in the Empower Path community, we're like a little family here. There's something deeply restorative to being able to listen and share and create community, and that is the healthy feminine. And so I kind of knew when you can go out into like the marketplace, as it were, and get a whole bunch of adults together that want to be together and want a fellowship and all. I was like, aha, check, doing the work. Right. So all this to say, it does take work to come into these things healthfully, right? And so the ways to balance out if you have wounded masculine energy is again, 'cause it's the yin and the yang. They need both. And so the if you're in more masculine, like I tend to be, I I have to make sure I'm building in these things, right? I always have a pet. I always have a little cat because she keeps me soft. That's my little nugget, right? This is my baby, right? Um, I take my time now. I honor my rest. I honor, like, I take time to soak in a bath. I take time to get a massage. I take time to release, like, I do somatic work. If I'm right now, like I'm doing 75 hard again, and I'm doing it very different this time around than the first time because I'm listening to my body's wisdom. I am timing my runs by my heart rate, not anything else. If my heart is like up in a certain rate, it's like, okay, I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna push myself through it. Right? That's how you balance it out. Movement is super important. A lot of people are not moving enough. Flow and movement and space, that's feminine energy. Dancing, feminine energy. Right? And then we need both. We need all of it. We have it. Right? And so start implementing some of these things, you have to actually intentionally do this. You have to carve out space. I was just talking to a client the other day, and she and I were on the phone, and she's just filling in every gap. She's doing all things. And I said, okay, we're gonna just take a minute to not speak. Just be. And she was like, oh, I see. Things need time to go, and then they need time to slow. You need both. So there's a lot of ways that you can balance out and just kind of soften and slow down. Feminine energy ways to balance that out is you've got to get good at saying no. Anybody that can't say yes when they mean yes and no when they mean no has a wounded feminine energy. If they can't say no, They're in their wounded feminine. You have to get good at saying no. What I see a lot is that like the wounded feminine energy kind of looks like a lack of confidence. It kind of looks like a lack of confidence sometimes. It's like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could try that. It's not a can do attitude. It's a can't do, right? They're in victimhood. And so you honor your self-confidence. I also have a the self-doubt habit loop on here. You can check that out, right? Because these all of these things go hand in hand. They're all things you want to be aware of to come home to your authentic self. Okay, you have both masculine and feminine energies inside of you. So you have to take time to cultivate. And I did. I will say I healed the wounded masculine intentionally, worked on those things. And then once I was there, I started working on healing the wounded feminine. And it was a process. It really was. I worked with a lot of coaches. This kind of healing work, coming home to yourself, the most ironic thing about it is you really can't do it alone. You got to do it with other people. Um, People who are safe and who are mirrors, who are making it about you and not them, quite frankly. But yeah, so to kind of balance out that feminine, you make snap assertive decisions, right? Like, nope, this is what I want. This is what I'm gonna do. You ever hear how people say like you ask someone what to eat and they like don't know? And it's like so exhausting. Know what you want and ask for it. That's the masculine energy. Sort of with women, a lot of times that's too bold, it's too confident, it's too self-assured, it's too this, it's too that. And I would rather be labeled those things than be small and unheard and in my wounded masculine or feminine. Okay. So it is super important to practice these things to come into that space. Right. And so all that to say that masculine and feminine energies are a very legitimate, very old, old concept. Very old concept. And the question, of course, that I have for you is which one do you struggle with? Or where are you struggling? Or what is wounded in you? What needs to be healed? I will say that if you don't honor your rest and your play and your creativity, you are probably lacking, like you're in your wounded feminine space. And if it's very hard for you to start a task or do a task or bring something to completion, you are probably in your wounded masculine. And you might be in both, quite frankly, honestly. You could be. So that is the masculine and feminine energy sort of discussion. I will be continually adding, as I do, to this channel, both in lecture series and just one-off lectures. This is a one-off, but do not fool yourself, please. Do not fool yourself. Energies are a foregone conclusion. Okay, like there are just some things in life that are true, whether you like it or know it or care at all. Energetic frequency is a foregone conclusion. So you might as well learn about it and you might as well find out how it's affecting you and how it's showing up in your reality and in yourself. Because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And to try to deny that is no help to you, quite frankly. So that's masculine and feminine energy. And like I said, do some self-assessment here. What are you, right? Are you a man or a female, or male or female? Despite the nonsense trying to be slung right now, you are one or the other. I do think part of the transgender issue is that people don't know about masculine and feminine energy. And so they don't realize that it's very normal to be in one body and have masculine or feminine attributes. Right? Like when I was growing up, I was very much a tomboy. I liked masculine things. I didn't need to go get anything done surgically to make that more or less appropriate. And so like when it comes down to it, lack of knowledge of self is an epidemic that is causing a lot of issues, quite frankly, because people are growing up and they're like, wait, why did I do this thing then and there? And so I think here's the thing. You are either biologically a male or a female, period. Energetically, you are both male and female. One is probably more prevalent. Both needs to be addressed. Both might be in their wounded space. Okay, so if that is interesting to you, if you like that, if you want to know more about it, that is it's a very easy Google search, guys. Okay, this is not hard stuff to check out. I've just compiled the information for you here, but I didn't come up with any of that. That's age-old stuff. Okay, that's not coming from me. That's just coming from psychology, biology, um, life. But all that to say, there is work to be done by all of us all the time, right? We're always trying to get to deeper understanding of self so that we can be better friends, partners, parents, spouses, business peoples. And so I will just keep bringing you the mind, emotion, spiritual, self-awareness growth sort of topics on this channel as I do. And I hope that you find it interesting. And like I said, a lot of this is just for your own self-awareness so that you can figure out, okay, where do I need to do work? What's the right task here, right? So I will see you guys on the next video.